Okay, welcome to this episode of the Book Marketing Success Podcast. Today I have two guests, Paul Counts and Shreya, and I'm going blank. How do I pronounce your Banerjee? That's not
Yes,
that hard.
that's right.
Okay,
You got it first
uh, of,
try.
of Marketing Counts, and they're a marketing agency. I've known Paul for a long time through the internet marketing circles. He's a I know he's a smart guy and he knows what he's talking about. And so their marketing agency, they do a lot of work with influencers, book authors, and other top people. So I really wanted to bring them in to talk a little bit about that. And so, first question I have is, what is your biggest pet peeve when it comes to how marketing is taught today?
Yeah, it's a big one. I'm gonna let Shreya share this one. We've got a good story about that from working with high school students and helping market them.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
stories.
Yes.
Right. So right now, if as a person who has a book, if someone told you you have to start marketing online, the first thing I'm pretty sure comes to your mind is I need to start posting on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, right? Start growing that audience. Immediately, people just go to social media as the digital marketing means social media, which is not the case. There's a lot more to it. Social media is a little teeny tiny piece of it. And that's our biggest pet peeve is people just jump to social media and stay there. They don't work on building their audience because the audience on IG is owned by IG. It's not your audience, right? They're following you, but your account can be banned anytime. Algorithm changes, you're no longer reaching anybody. Anything can happen. You're not in control. So you're not
Right.
building your own email list. That's one of our best pet peeves.
Yeah, it's a big one. And it's also the traffic first approach. And so Shreya
Mhm.
was referencing more of a traffic first approach. So, if somebody does have a book and they're going out there, people are going to say, drive traffic to it, run Facebook ads, even run ads, but nobody has set the foundation of that business. So nobody has set a landing page. Nobody has a way to capture leads. And we reference the high school kids. We actually teach in high school. So we have curriculum in 140 high schools that teaches marketing. And we did that because as a marketing agency, we worked with clients that had digital marketing students that literally, I put that in quotes loosely, they graduated with the degree, but they didn't know thing one about digital marketing. Amazing, right? They got a 4-year degree, didn't know anything about marketing. So we were like, something's wrong. And this wasn't just one, this was 3 different instances where finally we said, this is broken. So our passion became wanting to educate the next generation. So we partnered with Washington DECA and started to, implement marketing training. And it was so difficult for our high school students because as Shreya was referencing, they wanted to keep going to social media because that's to high school kids. That's the thing, Instagram. And you're telling me that I have to promote outside of Instagram and what's the purpose of this? And they just kept pushing back. And we explained to them the simple concept of if you look at Instagram, you look at Facebook, you look at Pinterest, you look at TikTok, you look at every major platform out there, YouTube included, what's the one piece of information they all ask for? And it's the email address. The most important thing you can get for your leads is that email address. And I think too many book authors, influencers, anybody trying to promote themselves, they get lost in, oh, how many Instagram followers can I get? And how many of this? But you're just part of the product there. You're just actually building up Instagram's influence, but you need to get them off of Instagram to your own list so that if Instagram goes down or Instagram changes their business model, or they just decide to take over your account or an algorithm change, you can't reach people anymore. And
Right.
it's a tough lesson to learn because we've known people that are high influencers that learn the lesson the hard way by a simple algorithm change. They could reach 1 million people a post and now reach nobody.
I've seen that with Facebook and its pages.
Mhm.
People invested incredible amounts of time and money creating Facebook pages, and then suddenly Facebook pages sort of disappeared.
Yeah,
They don't count as much.
not the
You know,
same. Yeah.
people were lost then. Or even with Facebook ads, I've heard over and over again lately that they're not working like they used to. You
Yeah.
used to be able to print money with them. you
Yeah.
know?
And it's all in
Mhm.
how you run the ads. But yeah, if you aren't keeping up on it, that's the thing. One little tweak can take your entire business model down. And so if you're not focused on, even if you're running ads, a lot of people don't even capture leads when they run ads. So like when we run ads for ourselves or clients or anything, we go to a lead capture form first, because you're foolish if you're going to run traffic to a landing page, because if they don't like your offer, you'll never see them again. But
Exactly.
at least you could get them back to your funnel, you know, and that's kind of
Right.
the approach we take.
Well, I grew up, I'm an older man, I grew up with direct marketing and all that. And the key thing they always said in direct marketing, that's the only real value you have in internet marketing is your list. It's not your product. It's not your copy. It's not any of those things. It's a list you develop, because that's where your business lives. That's where you build the business. And so you're talking, I presume, basically the same thing. You have to capture the email so that you can start to create a relationship. Because in my own talking with marketing, I always talk about the key thing is you have to build relationships. In some cases, that means with key influencers, other people that will share your information. What we're doing here, podcasting, things like that can make a lot of difference. Now, when we were talking earlier, you used the strange words FTE. And I want to know, what does that mean and how will it make a difference in terms of changing your business or transforming it?
Absolutely. This is a great concept developed. Shreya's got a process background from engineering side of things. And so her process brain put together FTE formula. So I'll let her break this down, because a lot of people think FTE stands for full-time employee, and that's not the case. So.
So I'll give you a little bit about my background. So to kind of explain how this came from, I, like he said, did engineering in college and kind of, went that corporate route, had a 12-year career, more process focused for manufacturing, for airplane engine manufacturers. And my job was to go from facility to facility and see where the gaps were, why or the new numbers were meeting, and how can we help to kind of get them going, right? So I do the same thing in marketing. When we go into and look at all the stuff that we have and all the tools that is available to everybody, how does everything fit together? And when I opened earlier saying everybody runs towards traffic, towards IG, that's the mindset. That's the mindset everybody has. And it's being taught, is saying, go get traffic. If you bring enough traffic, offer will eventually convert. And the mindset we go with is you have to have foundation first mentality. So FTE formula, the F stands for foundation, T stands for traffic, and then E stands for engagement and building that relationship once you have that. Right. So having that foundation in the online world, what it really means is having a website, a landing page, or some sort where you're gathering your customers' information so that you can start building that relationship. Then you're driving the traffic. A lot of times people just go towards traffic. And we've thought a lot, Paul and I have thought a lot of why this is taught this way in schools and colleges. We think that it's because when you graduate, you're taught to go get a job and you work for a big company. You don't work for a small business, or you don't work for a solopreneur, or that, you're trying to launch your own book. They have a lot of big ad budget that you don't. So to them, if it's traffic first, they could just throw money. If it didn't work, that's fantastic. That's okay. No big deal. Move on to another ad.
They don't care about money at
it. Right. But you can't afford to have that. So you have to have a foundation first mentality to make sure that whatever traffic you're driving, free or paid, is going to convert, that you're going to be able to capture their email somehow so that you can communicate the next time you have a book or next time you have something else coming up, that you can communicate with them. If you don't have that, it's very hard to survive in the traffic first world, because you're going to just keep throwing on money and wondering why it's not converting.
Yeah. And that's the key point there is that traffic first, when you just want to throw money at it. And part of the foundation is knowing your avatar. Who's your customer avatar? Who's your audience that you're speaking to? Like if you're a book author, who is it that is going to resonate the most with your book? And that should be captured as soon as they hit your landing page. So when they go to your website, what is the benefit? And I see too many authors and websites, people that say, welcome to my author page. Well, that doesn't get you that excited. It should be, what are you about to learn from my book? Why should you join my list and download maybe the first chapter of the book, or download the teaser? Or why should I even go to Amazon and buy the book? Then, you need to speak to that benefit right out of the gate. And that benefit could be something that's going to solve the problem that niche or that audience is struggling with. And so that's where this foundation first approach comes from, because authors and anybody out there, we don't have millions of dollars in an ad budget sitting around. No, and even if you did, why would you waste it? A corporation does, but as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, book author, you don't have the luxury of wasting $100,000 on a failed marketing campaign. You need to make sure that your $1,000 goes far.
Well, I've grown up with the whole idea that if I'm going to spend money, it better come back to me.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly.
Yep. Because otherwise I'm just throwing it around, which is nice. I can be kind and do that.
Right.
And I did it today. I threw some pennies around the parking lot in a grocery store, just a way, to surprise people.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I won $2.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but for the most part, if I'm going to spend money or even time in marketing, I want to get a return. I want people to find out about what I have to offer, and get some benefit out of it. And that's what you're talking about, is you want to create that relationship, and you're doing it by building the foundation first.
Exactly. Yep. And it's got to start with that, hello first before you can do the relationship building. Yeah.
Hello, and have I got a deal for you?
Right. Yeah.
It better be a little bit more than that.
Exactly.
So I know that a lot of authors, and I've seen it with internet marketers as well, treat their business sort of like a hobby. They don't really take it seriously. They don't check measurements. They don't track and find out is something working or not. And so they'll try something for 3 days, and if that doesn't work within 3 days, they're on to the next little shiny bauble somewhere. And so the question I have is basically, how do we get out of doing that sort of hobby business and build into, a business that could be a true success?
Yeah, it really comes down to that consistency. That's the most important thing. For lack of a better word, consistency counts. And when it comes to marketing, consistently doing, if you are posting, let's say YouTube is your chosen traffic source. Like we teach people too, as part of the FTE, as part of the traffic phase, is pick a traffic source that resonates with your audience, because they're not everywhere. You will not find Shreya and I all over TikTok, but we have consulted with people that have gone from 0 to 100,000 on TikTok, one of them being an author as well. And actually they're now both authors, and that works for their audience, and they also are willing to grow that. It's, and I think a lot of people get caught up in the mindset of, okay, I need to, be have one YouTube video, have one TikTok, have one Instagram post. Yeah. And be everywhere.
Be on 32 channels. You don't have to.
Yeah. Be on 32 channels and think that's going to work. It all comes down to being consistent on 1 or 2 really good channels. So if it's YouTube, your first video on YouTube will not go viral, most likely, and a great, I know, shocking, right? Everybody's just leaving they're leaving the call now, but yeah. Somebody asked me this once. They literally came to me and they're like, Paul, can you, because we're an agency, and they're like, Paul, can you make us a viral video? And I was like, if I could, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And they said, well, other people can. I said, well, then you shouldn't give them your money, because nobody can guarantee that it's going to be viral. And a great example of this is the "What Does the Fox Say" song that I'm sure everybody by now has heard. That company, or those people, if you go and look at their songs, that was not their first song. They did a bunch of songs before they became relevant. And that was just happened to be one that went viral and took off. And it's not saying even you're waiting for that one thing to go viral. It's just saying you're not going to get it with one video. You're not going to get it with one post. And that's how you run something as a hobby. And I'll let Shreya share a little bit more, but that's really the thing, is being consistent.
Yeah. And then also doing the stuff that doesn't sound that fun. So like creating that customer avatar, it doesn't sound fun, but if you don't do that, you are going to be treating it as a hobby, because then you're going to be saying, okay, let's see if this works. Let's see if that works, right? It could be that your book is relevant to like 2 or 3 different audiences. But now if you have done your customer avatar and you figured out it relates to 2 or 3 different people, then you'll be targeting. We name them. We actually create the avatar and we name them Matt, Susie, Joe. Like, then you know exactly how to talk to Susie. You know exactly how to talk to Matt, and then they connect with you more. But if you don't do that, because no one really teaches that, and it's not fun. It's easy, but it's not fun as running a Facebook ad, right? Because that's what's hot. People run towards what's hot. Do the stuff that's not advertised, and then you'll start seeing that it becomes a business, not just a hobby.
Yeah, I had one person I talked to a couple of days ago. She had a Instagram video that went viral, got like 1.5 million views or something like that, but it was totally unrelated to what she was doing. It just, how did it connect? She posted it, and somewhere along the line, somebody that had a big audience liked it, shared it, commented on it, something like that. And suddenly she was getting all these views, but they weren't the people she needed to target. So I presume that part of what you have to do in marketing is not just be consistent, but you got to target the right people.
Yes, that's the most important part. I'm glad you shared that story, because that happens a lot. And if you aren't set up correctly with your FTE, and that part of that is, like Shreya said, your avatar, who are you speaking to? And then that's going to impact where you market. So you're not just randomly throwing. 1 million views from an untargeted audience is almost useless. And it's true. Right. I mean, it sounds crazy, but we've watched it happen. It's good. Exposure is good. And we like to think exposure is awesome. And it's good to a point. But in this day and age of social media, they're on to the next funny video. They're the next, video that resonates. They'll never come back. But if it's on point and on message, I would rather have 10,000 people watch my video that are 100% who our avatar is than have 1 million people that don't have a clue who we are, because we're going to get so much more out of that. And it's like in the internet marketing days, right, John, that we were talking about earlier, that we were all talking about. All 3 of us here know that the buyer list is more important than the freebie seeker list, right? So, right. 1,000 buyers is always going to outperform 100,000 people that want something for free. And that's just always been proven time and time again. And so it's the same concept. Like, make sure that you're speaking to your audience that is going to be the consumer of what you're offering them.
How do you develop? I know I'm going off script sort of, but I'm going to. It's my podcast. I can do what I want.
Love it.
But how do you target, or how do you build a buyer's list when, typically they tell you, well, give away something free to get people to sign up for your list. But, that list, to a partial extent, at least, that's a freebie seeker list. So how do you convert that freebie seeker list into a buyer list, I guess? Is that a good question?
Great question.
No, market to them, sell them something. And it doesn't have to be, don't go from freebie seekers to like a $10,000 offer. Go to a smaller unit and increase slowly. But a lot of people are scared to email their list. Why are you building a list if you're scared to email them? Yes, there's going to be drop off. Not everybody's going to like you. That's the world. It's fine. People,
and it's actually probably better to get them to drop out sooner than later.
Yeah.
Exactly. But market to them, give them a micro commitments, right? Downloading something was a micro commitment. Giving them giving you an email was a micro commitment. Now let's sell them something right after, small value, another micro commitment. Like, then they become a buyer, and then they become a loyal follower, right?
And then you can start to build from there and sell them something that you really want to sell.
Yeah, it's called the ascension path. And that's so critical, is, you need to take them through that path. Like Shreya mentioned, the micro commitments, and that's going to end in great results.
Okay. How can somebody who's marketing, how can their mindset affect their marketing? And is there a way to change your mindset or whatever so that your marketing is better?
Yeah. This is a good one. And we both have some good viewpoints on this one. And one of the big ones, though, is you're going to fail with digital marketing. If your page is converting at not at 10%, that's really a good conversion rate for sales page or copy. And that means you're failing, though, 90% of the time. Like that means, so instead of having this mindset of, oh, it's not working, I'm going to take my ball and go home. And it's shocking. Even people that are high earners have this mindset. It's blows our mind. But, it's this vantage point of, really where it's the people are, they want to take the ball and go home. It's that mentality. You have to be willing to understand that most of the people that land on your page are not going to become a buyer that day. So you need to do things that get them onto your list so that you can follow up with them. And corporation space, my goodness, those conversion rates are like less than 1%. And that's why they can throw money at it and it doesn't work. And they've got the mindset of, hey, we'll just throw more money at it, make it work. Your mindset needs to be that, okay, 90% on a good day is going to leave. 95% more likely, 97% of the people that land on your page. That means you're going to convert 3 out of every 100 people that land on your page for your offer or your sales page or your book or anything like that. That means there is going to be failure. And that means you just need to pull up the bootstraps and be consistent and get more traffic to that page and get more, hone in your message and speak to that audience and make changes and be okay with that, because we're not here to sugarcoat things. It's, that's why I think we all three resonate here so well, is we speak the truth. The truth is it's not 100% success rate ever when it comes to marketing or any marketing campaign. So you have to tweak.
End up talking to authors and they think I've written the book, everybody will want it. And I'm going, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because you don't have anybody to target.
Right.
Because everybody is going to want it. So I suspect that if you're going to get that conversion rate up a little higher, you really have to think about who, you use the word avatar, I talk about audience, but it's the whole idea of who really is your book for, and who would buy it, or product, service, whatever it might be. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck around. Well, what happens with authors is that they give up because, they announce it to the world and the media doesn't care. The podcasters don't care. Nobody cares. The people that they thought were all going to buy the book don't care. The fact is that we all have busy lives. So at some point, how do you get it so that not only are you targeting the right people, I guess, but how do you get that percentage up a little bit?
Ooh, to get like the percentage of people that take it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely speaking to your audience. And Shreya spoke to that. Like if you're focusing on your avatar correctly and you're speaking to that person, clearly who they are, you're going to see a much better conversion rate to get that percentage up. And one of the parts of the FT that we teach is really the engagement phase, because the money's in the follow-up, and that's the reality there.
It is. Yeah. So to add on to that, you said, author thinks my book is for everybody. It could be for everybody, but create those different, pick five people out of those everybody that you are going to target to, right? And market to them and get a list going, each different landing pages, different email lists. So then when you are sending the book saying, hey, I wrote this book and it connects to you because those are the lists. So at least now you're targeting the top 5 people that you're going to connect to your book the most. You're going to see much higher conversion that way rather than opening it up to everybody.
I sort of found that in speaking to audiences, if live or something like that, if you're talking to the ceiling or you're talking over the heads of everybody, you don't get much engagement. But if you actually look at some of the people as you're talking and you have that one little split-second moment with them, it makes a difference. I presume there's something like that with the avatars too.
Exactly. Yeah, because now you're directly talking to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's key, and that's so true about public speaking. And you're literally saying to Sue or Susie or whoever you've named that person in your mind, what they like, what their interests are, and what they are. So you're going to be very honed in on your messaging. And if your messaging resonates with people, your conversion rates are going to get much higher, and you're going to start to see more of those results. And, so instead of your conversion rate being 2% or 1% or 1% or less, which corporates sadly are happy with, you're going to be seeing that 10% conversion rate, that 7% conversion rate that really allows you to scale and grow a business and build something special. And that's the key part. We're bringing you all back to the basics here. I mean, John, you've been in business for years. I've been in business for years. Shreya has been in business for years. And there's a lot of years of experience on this call in marketing. And it's because we stick to the basics. We don't go to what the latest trend is, because no matter what's trending right now, no matter what time you're listening to this podcast, it could be a year from now, 5 years from now, something is inevitably changed and so, but if you don't have the FTE process in place, and you heard John talk about the direct marketing days, it was the same thing. Maybe it wasn't an email. Maybe it was that Rolodex of information. I mean, we've heard some great legends of personal development that we've worked with talk about the Rolodex. Like that was their thing, was a Rolodex of names and phone numbers and mailing addresses. That was their, million person list. That's how they made their money. It's the same concept that you're learning here today about speaking to your audience is going to resonate 20 years from now. But if you're focused on, the latest trend, MySpace, something like that, you're going to be lost going, well, I put all my eggs in MySpace bag and now look at this, I don't know what to do now. So,
right. It's like having.
Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
It's like having that foundation first mentality of knowing the basics, like 2 + 2 is 4. If you know that, you're great. Now you could use a calculator to solve it. You could use Excel sheet to solve it. You could use Google Sheets to solve it. These are all tools, right? You could go on Instagram. You can go on Facebook. You could go get traffic from everywhere. You can get it from YouTube. These are all tools, but you have to know that basics. If you don't know what 2 + 2 = 4, it doesn't matter if you have a calculator. It won't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a great point. It's a great point.
My apologies. My phone rang. I forgot to take it off the hook.
No problem.
So one other question is, how can you position your business as a leader in a crowded marketplace? For example, you got fiction authors. They're competing with 1,000 other romance authors or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's a real thing in a crowded marketplace. How do you position so that you stand out, you make a difference, something like that?
Yeah, it's the connection that you make with your audience, and that comes from knowing who it is. So we sound like a broken record, but that's the reality of marketing, is going back to who is your audience, knowing them. Now, you can do that by being in many different places. And we're not saying be everywhere, but be consistently out there. And so if you are, the author of a romance series, for example, you're going to want to make sure that your bio page really resonates with your audience of what they want. They're going to want to resonate with why you wrote it, what it's about. They're going to want to read those kind of details. And you're going to want to have a YouTube channel or a presence on your website. So for example, your SEO, that's one of the biggest principles we teach with marketing, is have your keywords on that page that talk about, related to romance authors. Go to Google and search for romance books and see what people are also searching for, to get an idea of what other phrases they're looking for to find romance book series. And then put those into your title tag and have an article about your book summary in there, in that title, in that article page, but it's targeted to romance book authors, romance book series, those types of keywords that would get people to jump in to your website and find you. And that's going to be how you stand out in the crowded marketplace, is you're going to do those little things. So Shreya talked about it earlier. The little things count. They add up to big wins, but you have to be willing to do those things. And it's not it. And with that said, doing interviews are critical. We're doing an example of that right now. Podcasts are a great way. I'm sure you talk about that too, to get your name out there and find people that review book. There's plenty of podcasts that review books out there. and you can get your name out there on those podcasts. And that's important.
But, personally, I'd rather have an interview than a review.
Yes.
Because with an interview, you can control. You can, no matter what the question is, you can bring it back to your key points, what you are talking about, what you want to sell, and things like that. In fact, I need to ask you that question. How did people connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. They can go to marketingcounts.com. We keep it very simple, just like it sounds, marketingcounts.com. And we actually have something free they can get, 26 email marketing tips. It's A to Z email marketing. There's a letter for each tip, and you can go download that. A to Z email marketing.
How did you do X?
Yeah. They'll have to download it to find out.
I will. So
Definitely.
go to marketingcounts.com, and that's the best way to reach out to you.
Yes.
And
definitely.
find out more and get on your list.
Yep. 100%.
And then once they get on the list, they can start to create a relationship with you.
Yes. We practice what we preach. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any other points you would like to share with people right now, either about your work or about generalized about marketing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Shreya, you've got a few nuggets you want to share there?
I just wanted to say that, be consistent. It might not seem like you're doing one small task that you do today. It might seem like a failure, but it's not, because it's going to, tomorrow, next week, it's going to come back and be like, oh yeah, because I scheduled this on this day, I am now doing this. So just be consistent, do at least one thing that is related to your business, to your passion, so that you could keep it going. Because even you might feel like I did do nothing, but if you did that one thing, it's going to come back.
Yes. Oh, it absolutely will. And that phrase resonates, that parked car never moves, And so if you're doing that one thing with, like Shreya said, it's night and day difference. You are already doing something that thousands of other entrepreneurs want to be, authors, people that want to see their book out there, whatever it is, you're doing that. Even if it's writing the chapter headline, for your book, or it's writing the title the title tag for your website so that you get better SEO, that's still one thing you did that moved your business forward. So, even if it's going out on social media and connecting with somebody, that you haven't connected with, that, you never know, 5 years from now might be a relationship, and relationships are so key. And even in this day of where travel got restricted, and, in the future, as it opens back up, get out there and go to events, because the number one marketing tip we can say, John and I go way back because of meeting at a live event years ago. And here we are years later on a podcast, you just never know where a relationship's going to bring. Shreya and I met at a live event about 4 years ago, and it's changed the trajectory of our business together and our path forward. And that was because of live events. So you cannot underestimate the power of relationships and connections. And you never know when you're going to meet that one person, and you never know how many years later that might impact your life in a positive way. It's
actually kind of neat that live events are happening again.
Yes.
Because I really miss that, the opportunity to get out there and meet people. In fact, I tell people when I go to speak at a conference, I go, you're going to learn more from the other attendees than you are from the people who are speaking on the stage.
Yes.
Because all those people are bringing experiences that can be a gold mine for you if you're willing to talk to them and turn into partnerships that could be incredible. Of course, that doesn't mean that you don't also talk to the speakers and ask them questions, learn from them, because they've been through it all. And in many cases, the thing I hate worse when I'm speaking at a conference is if I end up sitting alone at some point. Yeah. I'm going, why aren't people taking advantage of me? Yeah. I'm willing. I love being taken advantage of. Yeah. It makes a difference. It really, why not make use of me while I'm there?
Right.
Yep. Absolutely. That's so powerful. That is a great
connections
point.
Are everything. Relationships, everything. So you have to work on them.
Yeah.
And I learned that I was speaking to a group of novelists, Western novelists. And I that's when I came up with a key phrase that I've shared for almost 30 years now, which is all marketing breaks down to one thing: making friends.
Mm,
And ultimately, that means, of course, creating relationships, not only with the people that are your potential customers or your customers, but also key influencers, people that can make a difference in what you're doing. You can't be afraid to speak up.
no.
A lot of us authors, we love nothing better than to just stay in our little cubicle and write,
Hmm.
things like that. But at some point, you do have to get out and reach out to people and start to build relationships.
Yeah.
You
No,
do.
that's
Yeah.
so
We
true.
get that all the time because in the world of internet marketing, Paul gets asked this question by his family, like, you're an internet marketer. Why do you have to go out to events? You're on internet. Why do you have to
Hmm.
meet people? But business life in general is about relationships,
It
and you have
is.
to make them.
Yeah,
And,
that's
and
a valid point. Yeah,
but not only do you have to make them, that's where the joy of business is to
it
me.
is. Yeah,
Exactly.
us
Yeah.
too. Yeah, us as well. It's every relationship we've made in business, we look at our client list, 99% of them have come from an in-person relationship at some point. I mean, it's wild when you think of it, but it was connecting the dots to I met this person, this person, this person,
Mhm.
and this person introduced me to that person. Even if I've never met them online, or offline, but I have an online business. It was because I was at somebody else's event that they were like, oh yeah, Shreya and Paul are good people. You should work with them. And then next thing a relationship struck up and we're working with somebody that we've never met, but we did meet somebody in person somewhere else along the line. And that's where it gets, missed in the, people get caught up in that.
So how many degrees are you from Kevin Bacon?
Oh goodness, not that many. There's a joke that I'm as connected as he is from one of my close friends. Because everywhere we go, we know people. I mean, whether it's in all across the country, they find out I know this person who knows this person. So I feel like I'm pretty close. And actually, from Kevin Bacon, I'm actually probably only through 2 degrees or 3 degrees because I did some work in the film industry. So I'm actually
Yeah.
very close.
Well,
Yeah.
there was about 30 or 40 years where I was within 1 degree of the US president.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Wow.
Not no longer. I have no connection to Biden that I'm aware of,
Yeah.
and or Obama or Trump,
Yeah.
or even I think Bush. So I sort of lost it. Clinton, I did.
Yeah.
The older Bush, I did. So the younger one, I guess I could have connected.
Right.
Reagan, I had a connection. I had a connection with Carter,
Oh,
connection
wow.
That is so
all the
cool.
way back there. But it's kind of neat. I never made use of the connection because
Yeah.
I'm not that big into politics, so it didn't matter. But I do love the connections I have, say, within the internet marketing world,
Hmm.
the publishing world, and so on. I consider a lot of people my friends, even some people that I've never met personally, but I've met them to a webinar or something like that. And I think that creating it may be how you create, the last question I asked, how do you position your business as a leader in a crowded marketplace? And I think one of them is, how many friends do you have?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
It's about the connections,
Yeah.
right? It's about who you know.
Right.
That at a certain point, not what you know. You might have the knowledge. You need to have the knowledge to be authentic, to really get that far. But at a certain point, it is who you know.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
it's one of the reasons why you hire a marketing agency, a PR service, something like that, because they already have the connections.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
And you're one of the things you're buying is not just their expertise, but I presume their connections.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Or masterminds. Like when I first came back in, so I'd left and then came back in again about 6 years ago. I knew exactly what I was doing, but I didn't know anybody. To have that, I joined groups that would give me access to those connections because I knew the value of it. Not necessarily for the training, not necessarily learning how to make money. It was just the connections. And that's exactly Paul and I met.
Hmm.
So you have to have that mindset of connections are just as valuable to me as training or learning
Yes.
something to do and invest in it.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the reasons why you stay in the training, is, and you follow through on the training, because hopefully you're also making a connection. I have some people that like almost everything I do on Facebook, and I'm going, no one should ever like everything I do on Facebook. I do some strange things, they don't like it. But the thing is, I recognize them.
Mm-hmm.
If they were to
They
come
stand
to
out.
me and say, can you help me? I have a question. Would you be willing to answer it? I'm going to say yes, because they've created a relationship simply by liking what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the key things. And it's probably one of the reasons why, again, Paul, you said you need to focus on one or two of the social media if you're going to do them.
Correct.
Or other things. You can't do every one of them well.
No.
So you have to pick and choose. My favorite is Pinterest. I love it. It works for my mindset, and I get a lot of traffic from it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that works really well. Twitter doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
But other people I know, Twitter's works incredibly well.
Right.
I know people that have used Facebook and have, made incredible pathways, and Instagram and LinkedIn and so on. I don't actually, Paul, you said you had one author who was doing well with TikTok.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Doing extremely well. Yeah. In the financial niche. And then the other one's in the keto niche. And it's somebody that Shreya and I worked with, and they now have over 100,000 followers, and they get, but they followed FTE. So they push them to an email list, right? That's the key. So no matter what platform they're on, they're pushing people away, download my free keto recipes, download this. And then they're not saying, hey, go buy my book even right out of the gate, because, even if they buy your book, as we all know, yes, they're going to have your book, but they may not be on your email list because they went through Amazon or Barnes and Noble, who's not going to share that person with you. So you need to make sure you're capturing that lead first. It's the same reason, like if somebody authors a romance series, you want to capture them. You want to have that email, because then when you launch your next romance book, you've got your next, 4 or 5 people ready to go, or, 100 buyers right in the midst, ready to go, rather than hoping that they find your book again.
I didn't really realize that there was a financial market or audience in TikTok. Because when I go to TikTok, all they show me is these dancing in loony bins.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, because you can make anything work for you. It's just a matter of how you get them out of those platforms. And in this case, like the keto individual, they share keto tips and information. And with the financial person, he's sharing, here's the top 5 personal finance tips, save this, that. And
so he didn't dance as he was giving the tips?
Nope.
No. It's also which platform resonates with you. If you like doing it, you'll enjoy it. You'll connect with people.
Right.
If you don't like doing it, there's no point.
Yeah.
And as you said, you have to like doing it if you're going to be consistent.
Yes. That's the key. Yeah.
So when you work with people, I presume part of what you're doing is helping them, or you have to discover what is it that they really like doing, and where are their strengths, and which social media are already working for them or could possibly work for them.
Right. We do. Yeah. We focus a lot also on, we've categorized the networks into 2 different categories. One's a problem solving networks. So people go there to solve a problem. For example, Pinterest, Google, YouTube. If I have a problem, I go there. And the other one's a social connection platform where I'm going out to hang out and chill and whatever cool kids say these days, right?
Yeah.
Like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm hanging out there. And if you give me a message, I might listen to it, I might not, but I'm there to look at cat videos. But on a social or a problem-solving platform like Google, Pinterest, I'm there generally because I want to redesign my closet, or because I'm looking for ideas on making birthday cards or something.
So
right?
How do those people on TikTok, because I don't get the impression that people go to TikTok to solve problems, and yet you have the author there that's giving out financial tips, and building an audience.
Right. So when you do that, and when you go on a connection platform, you have to do what it's called like an infotainment. So you're giving them information, but you have to be entertaining. Hence the cool pointings, a couple of dancings, and but
not
still
tons
giving
of dancing,
information.
but they still pointing. Yeah.
Right. Like giving information by making it fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then, they tell people to get their free
financial information fun. I guess you'll have to send me the link to that.
Yeah, I'll share that with you.
Follow him.
Yeah, it's definitely useful. And then the other one is the keto, because keto is not fun either, but he's managed to make it intriguing. It's bite-sized information. So here we talked for an hour about and you could actually take snippets of this, and that could actually become a little TikTok or something like that. If somebody was to go on that platform, right? Little snippets of what we talk about.
Well, I can do a little dancing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Oh, that's a TikTok. It's pointing. That's
this.
Yeah.
That's where I missed with TikTok. I didn't get the pointing thing.
Yeah.
But okay. So again, how do people reach out to you?
Yes, they can go to marketingcounts.com and we'd love to connect with them. Yeah. So just marketingcounts.com.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed this. I had fun, and I hope other people had fun, and I learned, and I'm sure they learned something. Because I did about pointing,
Yeah. That's awesome. This is a blast. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.